ready? You guys can hear me.
We're ready.
We're ready. The East is red and the rest is ready. Okay, so let me talk about the test since that just came up. Traditionally, I have done the thing of take home, midterm and final, open book. You have basically the tests essentially take half an hour to an hour to do, and you have a week to do them. So you don't have to wait till the last minute. You can actually, some people actually just do them and turn them in same day or the next day, right? But of course, since it's take-home open book, people often collaborate and do the same wrong answers, right? Which is, I have no real time to check that out. So in this new upgrade of Moodle, some of you might have noticed a practice test, which I was doing once I learned how to do the grade book, and I said, okay, so what about tests? Well, check this out. You can have a question bank, and then when they take the test, you just have a total point value, and then the machine will generate randomly from your question bank an individual midterm and an individual final. And so that's what you saw. My attempt to do that, just doing questions off the top of my head, right? And no matter how well you did it, and you also had the ability to take it over and over until you got 100%. Well, it's practice because that's new technology to me, right? So they said what's cool about that is they can see their result instantly. They can't collaborate. Boom. Wow, cool. Right. Because here's the thing. I know you're taking this for a grade. And on a real level, I don't care what your grade is. You really have to work hard to flunk this test or this class. All you have to do is turn in papers. There's no late penalty, right? Most of your professors do late penalties, right? Right? So I don't want to bother with that. It's not because I'm lazy. It's like, no, these are like life lessons. The assignments are self-exploration for you. As if we were doing treatment. This is almost like treatment, except you're doing it yourself. Okay? So you're willing to look at certain stuff and be real about it, or not. And so it's okay with me because I'm willing for you to do the self-exploration that you feel safe with doing. That being said, I've had people take this course and the next course, the civilian course and the pro course, and then go on to mainline methamphetamine. Like, really? You got an A? You aced both courses and you're shooting speed after them? Oh, I failed. No, it's not me. It's them. They didn't do the work. I mean, you have gotten the message that I'm really down on injectable drug use, right? That's pretty clear. So how is that okay behavior if you go through both classes and you decide that that's what you're going to do? Yeah, that's not my thing, that's your thing. Whoever that is, right? So it's more about, are you going to be less addictive after you get out of the class? That can't be measured on the final or midterm, or even if you get an A. Are you going to be less addicted? I care about life and death, not a grade. Okay? And you can see that the grade, getting a good grade does not mean that you got your life together. So I'm different in that sense because of what I do. So don't worry about, it's ridiculous to tell students not worry about their grade because they're really conscientious about that. That's okay. That's good. Oh, there was something I was going to show you that didn't show up because it was a PC. not entirely important, but I'll show it to you anyway. All right, symbols for two-spirited people. We were talking about sexuality early. We're going to go basically just do a real short piece on internet addictions and then move on to money. So, because the conversation in America is dominated by English-speaking people, and English has only been spoken on this continent since really about the 1600s. So gay and GLBT folks, so that's English-speaking GLBT folks, use a symbol. This is red, not pink. I recognize that. They use a pink symbol from the Nazi era because that's what the Nazis used when they sent gay and lesbian people to the death camps. And they use that as a symbol for being gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning, anti-sexual, intersex, etc. Right? Well, I pointed out, okay, that happened in Germany. This is Turtle Island. And oppression of two-spirited people is way older than Nazi Germany. And so people of color would not use a symbol of oppression to identify ourselves with. And we didn't. So we use symbols of power. So I asked a native two-spirit friend, okay, what were the symbols before here? Because if 117 languages and Native American languages had a name for a third gender, what were the symbols? So he goes, well, there were basically four, and he said, I can only speak for my folks because we're Pueblo, and Northeast, so he's also Pueblo and Warm Springs. So he said, okay, a dragonfly. And the symbol is this. As a youth, it spends its time in the water, and then when it comes into its power as an adult and knows who it is as an adult, it takes wings and flies. Or rain, because it connects and nourishes heaven and earth. And basically, two-spirited people we connect heaven and earth, right? Many worlds. So it's not necessarily about who's zooming who. It's not about sex. It's about connecting invisibly different worlds. Women wear their hair in a bun, and men loose in the Southwest. So a two-spirit could be a person who has a bun on one side and hair loose on the other. That would be a symbol how they do their hair. And then in the plains, women wear their hair in a braid, men wear their hair loose. And it's also the symbol for a contrary person. So if you're familiar with the book Black Elk Speaks, Black Elk was a contrary. But the guy who's writing the book is a 19th century white guy who is not going to be comfortable with black elk having ambiguous sexuality, so he's only going to talk about the medicine stuff that white people feel comfortable with, right? Because it's the 19th century. So those were the symbols for those folks. So the idea in terms of looking at symbolism and people having certain power and ability internal to themselves. Now, how this relates to what we'll be talking about in terms of looking at internet addictions and then money is you have power inside yourself. You always have power inside yourself. But what you might not have is the ability to defend yourself from attack from other people who get inside your head and psych you out. And make you give away your power. That is, don't acknowledge it and then become less effective. So part of the connection between sexual and internet addictions is first of all, what is a healthy sexual relationship? Who defines what that is? So we try to do it in the field by talking about boundaries. So when I was talking with my friend Allison, I talked about, okay, what they should teach in school, and it starts with self-gnosis. That is, you've got to know yourself, know where you're powerful, know where you're not so much where you're weak. Don't think of it as weakness. Think of it as something that needs to be strengthened. You go to the gym, and you go to the Y or something like that, and they give you an exercise plan. What do you want to do? What are your goals? Oh, I need to lose weight, but I also need to, strengthen my core. The reason why they call it a core is it really supports health for everything else. And when you start getting soft in the middle, and it starts, like when you get like 57, like me, this is where my stress eating accumulates, right? So it doesn't matter, I'm not sticking a needle in my arm if I'm eating salty peanuts and not exercising. That's dumb. And this is where it accumulates, right? So, what is a healthy sexual relationship? You have to define what that is by yourself and then with another person. And so, who teaches what that is? This is just recapping where people get their ideas about what, healthy sex is. So, we already talked about that with Joanne Lulin and, trial and error. You're getting signal, right? Okay. Stop and start. So, the internet engages your addictive attention in much the same way that television does. And if you wanted to read up on this, there is a book called 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. And then the book that came later by the same author, In the Absence of the Sacred, The Failure of Technology, and the Survival of Indian Nations. Now, this guy was a television ad executive for Ogilvy and Mather, which is a major advertising house out of San Francisco, I think. So his 4 arguments for the elimination of television, and the reason he's into eliminating television, is he's saying, okay, the 4 arguments actually have 10 sub-arguments within them. And so one of the arguments is what he calls the colonization of experience. That is, you start to believe what's on television more than your emotions. So, for example, he talked about while this famous doctor show Marcus Welby was on, some of us are old enough to remember Marcus Welby, NBC got 250,000 letters a year asking Marcus Welby for medical advice. Right, wait, and the dude said, the actor, wait, I'm playing a doctor. I'm not a real doctor. You shouldn't be asking me. You should be talking to your doctor. But it seemed like, oh, well, you're doing a better job than my doctor is. Well, okay, you need to work on your doctor. Right? But the fact that was going on, and they did a survey where like nearly 2/3 of people believed in this survey that they couldn't put it on television unless it was true. I'm serious. That's scary. So Mather is saying, okay, gerrymander, that's his name, gerrymander, 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. No, that's wrong. And he said, look, I made millions of dollars for my company and for all these companies that are advertising for us because people believe that what they said in the commercial was true. Because they couldn't lie because it was on TV. So and people started believing what was on TV more than their internal experience. So he takes those, and that's just one of the 40 arguments that he makes in the book. And remember, this is a guy who said, look, what we did in television is wrong. And this is scary. He said, I fear for our society. So he's saying television is the instrument of corporate America to speak to you, to form your attitudes. Right? Because he said, I did that. That's what I did. That was my job. In his second book, In the Absence of the Sacred, Failure of Technology, and the Survival of Indian Nations, his editors were asking him, Indians, Schmindians, what is this about Indians? He said, okay, television, the internet does for television, for corporations, because, think about what the internet was. The internet was basically sharing weapons research. That was what it was designed for. Okay? And most of the innovations that you find in your life, calculators, cell phones, were once military applications. Right? A lot of people think that just because it's on the internet, it's going to be true.